You ever walk away from a conversation and just get that weird feeling like you just ran in a circle, had the exact same argument you've had 10 times before, and landed in the exact same spot? Well, that's because people play hidden social scripts all the time. And in this explainer, you're going to learn how to finally see them.
So what is really going on in those conversations? Well, there's this psychiatrist, Eric Berne, who wrote a classic book called Games People Play. And he argued that a lot of our daily chats, they're not as straightforward as we think. They're actually predictable games with hidden motives, and they're all designed to lead to a very specific emotional payoff.
And this is the key right here. Once you can see the script, you're no longer just an actor who doesn't know their lines. Learning to spot these patterns is your first step to breaking free, having more real, genuine connections, and basically taking back the remote control for your own life.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to pull back the curtain on these hidden scripts. Then, we'll get the tools to decode your own interactions. We'll dig into why we even play these games in the first place, and finally, we'll talk about how to break free.
All right, let's start at the beginning. To really get what these games are all about, we have to understand the fundamental building blocks of how we connect with each other.
Wow, right? That sounds pretty dramatic, but Berne was dead serious. He believed we have this deep biological need for recognition. He called it a stimulus hunger. It's like just as much as we need food and water, we need to be seen and acknowledged by other people to really thrive. This acknowledgement, it's the basic currency of our whole social world.
And that currency, that's what Bernone's called a stroke. Now, a stroke can be anything. A simple hello, a compliment, a pat on the back, even a nasty comment. Whether it's positive or negative, we're constantly trading these little units of recognition just to feel seen, to feel like we exist. They are literally the fuel for our social engine.
So how do we get those strokes? Well, a lot of the time, it's through what Berne called a game. And let me be clear, this is not about having fun. A game is a pattern, a series of interactions that seems totally normal on the surface, but it has a hidden ulterior motive. It's like a little play that always ends with a predictable emotional payoff for everyone involved. And usually, it's a negative one that just confirms some old story we tell ourselves, like, see, I'm helpless, or people will always let you down.
Okay, so now we know the basic terms, but let's get to the good stuff, the practical tools. How do we actually start seeing these games in the wild? This is where transactional analysis gets really, really cool.
Berne's big idea was this. You don't just have one single personality. Nope. Instead, all of us are constantly shifting between three totally distinct psychological modes, or ego states. You've got the parent, the adult, and the child. And these aren't just cute metaphors. You can actually see and hear them when you know what to look for.
Let's break it down. Think of your mind like a smartphone. The parent ego state? That's the app that's full of all the rules, the shoulds and shouldn'ts that you downloaded from your parents and other authority figures. The child ego state is the app with all your feelings, your joy, your creativity, but also your old fears and temper tantrums. And the adult? That's your processing unit, the part that's just looking at the data, right now, and making a rational call. A game happens when the parent and child apps hijack the whole system, and the adult gets pushed to the background.
Okay, let's look at a classic example Berne saw everywhere. It's a game he called Why Don't You, Yes But. We've all been in this one. It starts with someone bringing up a problem and a bunch of helpful people jumping in to offer solutions. Sounds pretty constructive, doesn't it? But just watch what happens next.
This is the hidden script. On the surface, it looks like a perfectly reasonable adult-to-adult conversation about solving a problem. But underneath, a game is being played. The person with the problem isn't actually looking for a solution. Their secret goal is to shoot down every single suggestion to prove that their problem is uniquely unsolvable. The real payoff? They get to feel like a justified, helpless victim, and all the helpers are left feeling kind of useless.
And here's the wiring diagram of the whole thing. See? On the surface, the solid lines show an adult talking to other adults. But the real action, the hidden transaction shown by those dotted lines, is the person's helpless child trying to stump the other player's wise parent. Every single yes but is just a move to frustrate that parent until everyone finally gives up. And then the child wins its prize, proof that it really can't be helped.
I know, this all sounds pretty exhausting and, frankly, not very productive. So the big question is, why on earth do we keep playing these games, even when they make us feel terrible? Well, it turns out they serve some really powerful hidden purposes.
For one, games give us something to do. They fill up our time and keep us from having to deal with awkward silences. they're also a guaranteed source of those strokes we need, even if they're negative ones. And here's the part that I think is just wild. Games often feel safer than real, spontaneous intimacy, which can be kind of terrifying because it's so unpredictable. A game, even a crummy one, is a script you know. It confirms what you already believe about yourself and the world, and weirdly, that can feel really secure.
So we're all caught in these scripts, and we're getting these payoffs we might not even consciously want. The big question is, how do we stop? Let's get into the final, and I think the most important section, how we can move from these unconscious scripts to making conscious choices.
The goal, as Byrne puts it, is autonomy. And this isn't about being alone, it's about being free. It's about recovering 3 amazing human capacities. Awareness, which is seeing the world for yourself. Spontaneity, the freedom to choose your response instead of just running a program. And intimacy, the ability to connect with people in a real, honest, game-free way.
So how do we get there? Here are 4 super concrete things you can start doing today. First, just name the game to yourself. Just recognizing it is half the battle. Second, pause. Just take a breath. That one simple act can stop that automatic reaction and bring your rational adult back online. Third, instead of playing your part, ask a clarifying question from your adult. With the yes-but game, instead of offering a solution, you could just ask, "That does sound really tough. What are you thinking of doing about it?" And finally, refuse to give the player their payoff. Don't get frustrated, don't get angry, just stay in your adult.
And this really is the ultimate point. Just having this knowledge gives you a choice. You don't have to become a psychologist overnight. Simply seeing the pattern gives you the power to step outside of it. You're no longer just an actor reading lines. You get to be the director of your own scene. Okay, let's make this super practical. I want to give you a challenge, a 2-week script audit. For the next 14 days, just be an observer. Every day, jot down 3 conversations that felt a little too familiar. Try to give the game a name. Then, the next time it comes up, try just one small alternative adult response. Just one. Don't worry about being perfect. Just practice one adult interruption a day and see what happens. At night, review the outcome. Did things get clearer? Did your stress level change? You're just becoming a friendly scientist of your own life.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. What is that one recurring, frustrating conversation in your life? You know the one. The script you know by heart. What is that game? And, more importantly, what would your life look like? What would become possible if you simply chose not to play?